Good morning. Welcome to Sportscaster News. I'm Lawrence Owen with a little bit of information. Looking into a few things this morning. There's a lot of quarterbacks out there where their future with their teams is, kind of up in the air, right? Many people want to know, hey, is Dak Prescott actually going to be a Dallas Cowboy next year? And according to Jerry Jones, he is definitely going to be part of the Cowboys next season. He says our issues in our negotiations with Dak have been that we're wanting to be more committed in the term of long term. We're not nervous to sign Dak. I think his makeup has all the right things. He's an amazing locker room man off the field. He's a great leader in our locker room. He's a great player. And that's why we want to sign him long term. You sign a player long term, you've got more flexibility in how you work with the salary cap, with a player who's going to eat up a huge percentage of your cap when you're talking about a quarterback. And this is completely understandable by Jerry Jones because, I mean, if you go look at Patrick Mahomes' contract, yes, it's $500 million. But quite frankly, it is set up 10 years. Now, will they be giving Dak a 10-year contract? Most likely not. But the makeup of the contract is what he's talking about. It's all set in specific ways where those bonuses can be moved back and forth so that if they need money at a specific time to re-sign a player or go get a player who is a free agent, they are able to do so and still keep the same amount of money that Mahomes and potentially Dak Prescott is making. Now, Dak has made it clear he doesn't want any contract longer than 4 years, and that's going to be a difficult situation on the Cowboys because, I mean, 4 years is not long enough. They want a 5 or 6 year deal with Dak, where Dak will want nothing longer than 4 years because he don't know what the organization is going to be like 4 or 5 years down the road. You know, maybe he wants to go to a different team. So there's conflict of interest here. To me, I think Jerry Jones is honestly trying to make it long term. There's another issue with Dak not wanting long term is because salary cap keeps going up. And in 4 or 5 years, you don't know what the salary cap's going to look like. He doesn't want to be in 4 years from now looking at his contract going, why am I only the 10th highest paid quarterback when I'm dropping top 5 numbers in the NFL, right? Well, that's what happens when you sign long-term contracts. That is frankly exactly how it happens. But Dak, here's a question from me to you. What changes in your lifestyle between having $300 million and $350 million? Seriously, that's my question. Because that's the kind of money that we're talking about here in a 5, 6 year contract, 7 year contract. You know, your lifestyle changes ain't going to be much different. You're still going to have $300+ million. If you sign a deal that long, even a $250 million to $350 million, you know, what's the difference there in lifestyle change? I don't see one. It's still fat money that your team is offering to pay you. I don't see the problem here. That's still getting paid massive amounts of money. Now, will a different team in the NFL want to sign you? Most likely. At the end of this year, you want to move on. You tell them, you know what? I don't want to be hit with that tag. But I want a contract. Sure, there'll be teams out there that want to pay you. But how many will actually want to pay you the money that you want? You have some numbers backing you up, but you are just now coming off of a massive injury. That ball is not in your court no more. Because when you come off a massive injury, you have to prove that you still have the same that you had prior to that. Most quarterbacks do not get paid monster money after an injury. And you know what happens? It's proven. Something very recent has happened that will put a lot of teams on the back fence about signing someone to a massive contract after a season-ending injury. Go look at Carson Wentz. They signed him to a massive contract right after a season-ending injury, and now he's not even the starting quarterback anymore because he's been playing awful. So that's going to put a lot of worry on teams signing someone coming off a season-ending injury. So the ball's not necessarily in your court, my guy. If they're going to offer you a long-term contract, I would suggest taking it, especially if they're paying you. They're trying to put money in your pocket. They're trying to show you the respect they have. If you don't take it, hey, it's your call. It's up to you. I may not agree with it. A lot of other people may agree with it. But sometimes you just, when a team says, hey, I want you long-term, and you're like, I don't want long-term, that seems not only a little selfish to me, but it also says that you're not committed to the organization. And that, to me, puts up a red flag. Just saying. You're still here? Awesome! Thanks for watching this stream. Please, if you have a moment of your time, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel so you're notified next time I go live. And if you got a few extra seconds, hit that description down there below the video and check out all the places that you can follow me, whether it be Sportscaster here on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and there's a couple places where you can help donate to my channel. That way I can continue to bring all this content to you. Thank you for your support. Now, let's get back to the video. Moving on to another quarterback that we just talked about, Carson Wentz. Monster contract that he has to deal with. Monster. And yet, he's not even the starting quarterback right now. He's been benched for Jalen Hurts. This year, his contract right now, his dead cap is almost $78 million. And they're not going to be able to get rid of him because next year's dead cap is almost $60 million. He's not going to go anywhere unless he's willing to renegotiate because they cannot cut him. What would be the point? Cutting him would just kill them anyhow. The best thing that they could do is keep him for another year and hope and pray that he steps up. But if they don't want him no more and Wentz don't want to be there no more, the only way he's going to get out of there this offseason is that they renegotiate the contract so that he's not eating as much guaranteed money. And then pray that another team wants him. And because right now, there's not a single team in the NFL that'll even take him for a 7th round pick. Not a single one. Because the contract is too high. I legitimately believe because of the guaranteed money, if I was Wentz, I would just sit down and be that backup quarterback to Jalen Hurts, not caring, because of the amount of money that I'm getting paid. The amount of money that I'm getting paid, I would sit down and just get paid. I wouldn't negotiate crap for starting, because your starting money is going to get cut drastically. I mean, drastically, if you renegotiate, to the point of you'll no longer be one of the higher paid quarterbacks in the NFL. You'll be probably getting paid backup money, because that's what it would take to get you traded out. So he will be a record, an NFL record, of being the highest paid backup quarterback in the NFL ever. I mean, when you have $108 million in guarantees, that's what Wentz has. $108 million. This was a $128 million contract, and 108 of it is guaranteed. It was record-breaking. So there's no way they could get rid of him. None. Even next year, it's what? $25 million dead cap if they get rid of him at the end of next year, going into the 2022 season. That's semi-reasonable. I mean, it's still a chunk of money, but it's not $60 million or $78 million. But that's a long time to wait. So if I was Carson Wentz, I would just, if they don't want to start you, oh well. Sit down. Be that great locker room guy. Be that guy who will take Hurts under your wing and teach him, stuff in the NFL to be a good starting quarterback. Because that's going to look incredibly good on your resume if and when a time comes and a team comes knocking asking, hey, can we trade for you? Just a little advice. Because I wouldn't give up that kind of money. There's no way on God's green earth I would. I don't care if I'd want to start. You don't give up $120 million. Now, let's talk about other players in the NFL. Obviously, Sam Darnold's name's going to be coming up. It already has. The Jets looking like they're going to get the number 1 pick in the draft. So, obviously, I'm thinking most likely the Jets will be going out and getting Trevor Lawrence, which is going to put Sam Darnold kind of on the out and out. The Jets will be looking for a trade. A lot of teams will be wondering, hey, you're probably damaged goods. We might not want you. So his price will probably drop a little bit trade-wise. Sam, if I was you, I would go out there just like you've been doing, and instead of trying to ball out and putting everything you got on the field, that's making you look bad because of the players around you. That's what's creating these interceptions and things of that nature. What you need to do is go out there and play your game. If you lose, you lose. If something's not there and you got to throw the football away, throw the football away. If you can scramble and slide for extra yardage, fine, do that. Don't take unnecessary hits. Throw the football away, slide, run out of bounds, whatever. Get rid of the football quickly. I don't care if it's to a running back and the running back gets -3 yards. Don't hurt the film on you, because if you go out there and you try real hard and you're extending plays and you throw a football and the football gets tipped and intercepted, that's looking bad on you. If you go out there and you're putting everything out on the field and you're trying to run for extra yards to get a first down in a meaningless game because you're not making the playoffs and you get hurt, that's going to be bad on you, because that's even going to drop your trade value down more. And teams that might have a real good chance in a postseason with you at their helm won't want you anymore, because you're not only mentally damaged, they might think, but you'll actually be physically damaged. And they won't want that. They won't want a double damaged quarterback. So you need to protect yourself first and foremost on the field, and then go out and play a conservative football games. Drop those. Don't be forcing the ball down the field to try to come back and make heroic plays, because that's how, like I said, turnovers happen. Just play a normal everyday game. If you're losing, you're losing. These losses are not on you, my guy. These losses are because of the management and the head coach. Because no one wanted to play there, and now you ain't got no one to work with. You have one offensive lineman trying to block 4 or 5 people. I understand you have 5 bodies in front of you, but you only got one offensive lineman. All right. Next on my list, what about Matt Ryan? There is questions about whether or not Matt Ryan will still be with the Atlanta Falcons at the end of this year. Well, I'm going to tell you right away, he's in a darn near exact same situation that Carson Wentz is. Matt Ryan's not going anywhere unless he redoes his contract. There's just no way. But the difference here is, if I was him, I would renegotiate the contract to get out of Atlanta. All right? This is what I would do. And the only reason is because the difference between Carson Wentz and Matt Ryan. Well, first off, Matt Ryan is proven over long term. Second thing is, Matt Ryan is 35 years old now. Carson Wentz is in his 20s. Carson Wentz has the time to sit and earn that money and then go back and get another contract from someone else and reprove himself. Matt Ryan's nearing the end of his career at 35 years old. He should renegotiate his contract if he does not believe that he is going to win Super Bowls with the Atlanta Falcons and this god-awful defense. Then he should renegotiate, ask the GM, ask the ownership, hey, can I renegotiate and see if I can't get traded to a team that is a contender right now? It'll help you get a set up long term, and it'll help me. It'll benefit both of us. Right now, I'm sorry, I got to look over once in a while. His dead cap is $50 million next year. $50 million. That is a chunk of change. And then it's $26.5 million the year after that. So yes, he is most definitely going to need to renegotiate this contract if he wants out. And I would. There's a lot of teams out there that are contenders that need an upgrade at quarterback. And a lot of these guys will probably be fighting for specific teams like the Colts. Everyone knows the Colts are a franchise quarterback away from being a Super Bowl contender. They've got 38-year-old Phillip Rivers out there who can't even move side to side because of he couldn't move in the first place, let alone now that he's got an injured foot. And he's playing great. He's playing great. Now imagine if you were a younger, even slightly more mobile quarterback. Matt Ryan, I think, would love to go to the Colts with their culture and that defense that they have. and the weapons and that offensive line? Absolutely. And the Colts would probably give him a great contract. But don't let me sit here and talk about other teams also. There are other teams out there that could use a great quarterback. What about San Francisco? San Francisco is in the same boat as Indianapolis, right? They've got a great team. They are a true franchise quarterback. I don't care, Garoppolo fans. Garoppolo is not your savior of the future. Garoppolo is not that good of he is a not even a high-end game manager. He is a low-end game manager. He is not accurate past 25 yards. And that's not good. Alex Smith, he is a high-end game manager. Because he can throw the ball deep. But he only does so when it's safe to do it. And he's accurate doing it. That's how I see it. Let's talk about one other quarterback that I think really needs a change of scenery. What about Detroit Lions, Matthew Stafford? Matthew Stafford. He's a guy that needs to get out of Detroit ASAP. I mean, my goodness. He's only 32 years old. 32. Which means he's got at least 8 years, in my opinion, of high-end quarterbacking. He's at the age now where his physical condition is still good and great, but he's got the experience and wisdom of playing a long time in the NFL, which puts him at his peak right now as an NFL quarterback. And to be honest, he could be traded at the end of this year. He's got a potential out. He'll have a $25 million dead cap. But he will definitely garner a first, probably more than a first-round pick. You might get 2 first-round picks for Matt Stafford. He's a good quarterback. But this team is undergoing a whole new change culturally. With coaching, they're going to have to go out and get some defensive guys. They're going to have to go out and get more offensive linemen. If they go and they trade him out, get out from underneath his contract, go get a new quarterback, go get some more weapons, go get, fill out this new team. I think the Detroit Lions could help themselves and help Matt Stafford long term. He's going to be a great quarterback. He's still a great quarterback. He's just not on a team that knows how to handle great quarterbacks. Again, I think a San Francisco or an Indianapolis Colts team would be a great destination. What about the Denver Broncos? Denver, are you sold on Drew Lock? Because you've got a lot of talent on that team. Could you imagine Matt Stafford there throwing the guys, over there, Cortland Sutton and all them? My goodness. Having Melvin Gordon and Phillip Lindsay as his running backs. Ugh. Man, Matt Stafford would be, the Denver Broncos would be, in my opinion, right there with the Kansas City Chiefs if they had a Matt Stafford at quarterback. And of course, the rest of their team being healthy because, they've lost so many people due to injuries and COVID. Denver would be a very dangerous team with Matt Ryan or Matt Stafford. And that's how I feel about it. My goodness. There are a lot of quarterbacks right now that could be moved. Indianapolis, what's going to happen with Phillip Rivers at the end of this year? That's an interesting question. Because the last 5 or 6 games, he's been playing very, very good. But he can't move. So there is a limited potential of where he can go. Right? He can't go to a team that has a leaky offensive line, or you're just going to have another San Diego Chargers or LA Chargers, because that's the teams that he played on, and that's what you looked at. Only you're going to have an older Phillip Rivers who can't move even more so. He may end up staying with Indianapolis, signing another year contract. Jim Irsay, Chris Ballard, and Phillip Rivers all said that they would like to be a tandem for multiple years in Indy, but we got to wait to see if that can happen. We got to see how he finishes this season, because in his career, Phillip Rivers has been on highs before, but then he has those games where it looks really, really terrible. Now, and then he gets dumped off in the playoffs somewhere. Now, what if Phillip Rivers wins a Super Bowl, or gets to the AFC Championship, or just gets to the Super Bowl this season? What if a Phillip Rivers-led Indianapolis Colts is able to beat Pittsburgh and then Kansas City and make it to the AFC Championship or make it to a Super Bowl? Will Phillip Rivers then be the starting quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts with a little bit more contract for a second year? Most probably will be. Most probably will be. But if they're an early out like he normally is, or by some odd thing right now, doesn't even make the playoffs this year, the Colts, I believe, will be in the market for a long-term quarterback and willing to drop $30+ million on a high-end top 10 quarterback. So be careful. Phillip needs to be at the top of his game and continue to be like he has these last 5 or 6 games that he's been in. If I was Deshaun Watson, I'd be praying to get out of Houston. But the great thing about Deshaun Watson, he no longer has Bill O'Brien, right? And it looks like this team is playing hard. Ever since Bill O'Brien's been gone, they have been playing their butts off for their interim head coach. And I think that he's going to end up staying there. There's a good chance. I don't know if it ever happened, but I'm wondering if Deshaun Watson went to the owner of the Texans and said, "Look, it's him or me. It's him or me." And I got an ugly. And if that had happened, that would have explained why Bill O'Brien just got dumped in the middle of the season. I'm just saying, because Deshaun Watson right now is showing what he could do even without some of his top guys like Will Fuller, right? Without Randall Cobb. Because he still played superbly against the Indianapolis Colts defense. Even though he was sacked and threw an interception, he was sacked 5 times, pressured multiple times. He should have been sacked at least 10 times. But Deshaun Watson is Deshaun Watson. Right? And in my opinion, Deshaun Watson is the epitome of why the MVP should have nothing to do with a team's record. Because MVP means most valuable player. Not most valuable player on one of the better teams in the NFL. The most valuable player. And without Deshaun Watson, the Houston Texans would be nothing. Nothing. They would be in the same category as, in my opinion, I think they would be in the same category as like the Bengals right now. Without Deshaun Watson, they would be sitting as the same category as the Cincinnati Bengals are right now without Joe Burrow. Without question. With Deshaun Watson, they are head and tails better than Cincinnati with Joe Burrow. because he's so good. He's an amazing quarterback. He's accurate. You can't bring him down half the time. He's hard to bring down. He's hard to catch. He's good at seeing the field. He's got a cannon for an arm. He can make things special happen. It's a shame they got rid of Hopkins. It's a shame. I think Bill O'Brien should have been gone in the preseason, in the offseason last season, rather than waiting midway through the season this year. Where's Ryan Fitzpatrick going to be next year? Is he going to be willing to sign a backup role? Or, let's say you got a team like the Lions or the Atlanta Falcons who end up trading their starting quarterback in Matt Stafford or Matt Ryan, like I said, and need a journeyman quarterback long-term or short-term, 2 or 3 years at the most, while they either find or groom their next quarterback of the future. That's where you sign Fitzpatrick to $20-25 million for 2 or 3 years. So this is something, and he's one of the best journeyman quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. He's kind of like Alex Smith, right? You want this guy on your team because he's very good. He's going to get you wins. His age is not affecting his play. And I don't know if the Dolphins want to keep Fitzpatrick long term. But right now, it might be. Are the Dolphins willing to give Fitzpatrick $20 million, $25 million a year to be that guy who's going to sit beside Tua and help bring him up? I don't know. I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to spend $25 million a year on a backup. The Colts are spending $27 million on a backup with Jacoby Brissett. That's money that could be going elsewhere. I mean, $27 million. A backup could make 4 to 8, maybe 10 million at the most. So you're looking at $17 million. Dude, that is a high-end pass rusher or a high-end left tackle. That's a game-changing position addition to a team. So no. The Dolphins need to make a decision. Is Tua their quarterback long-term? I'm sure they believe he is, which means they need to move on from Ryan Fitzpatrick. Which means they probably won't sell him off. Or re-sign him, which means the team, like I said, if the Lions or the Atlanta Falcons decide that they want to move on from their quarter, what if, Indianapolis. What if Indianapolis can't get, what if Indianapolis wants to move on from Rivers? And Atlanta and Detroit are set in stone about not getting rid of their quarterbacks. The Colts have already made it evident they do not want to lay their hats on Jacoby Brissett because of what happened in 2019. Would they be willing to go in and grab Fitzpatrick? I would have no qualms about it, but I would want them to also grab somebody else as well. Someone young that can be groomed. I would sign Fitzpatrick, have Jacob Eason, and then maybe give a third-round pick to the Jets for Sam Darnold and see what happens. See if Jacob Eason or Sam Darnold can step up and become that franchise guy that the Colts need. All the while knowing for a fact you have a guy who could go out there, put a team on his back from time to time, and win you games. That's just my thought process. Because the difference between Ryan Fitzpatrick and Jacoby Brissett, both guys can run a football. Neither one of them are afraid of taking a hit. But Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's not afraid of taking a deep shot. Jacoby Brissett was scared to death to throw the ball further than 25 yards last year. Ryan Fitzpatrick can lead a receiver, can anticipate a throw, can throw a receiver open. Jacoby Brissett did not show any of those attributes last year in 2019. Has he grown into that this past year? We don't know, because we haven't really seen him really throw the football. The only time he goes in is when the Colts want to do a quarterback sneak or a read option of some sort. Now, he is out there throwing the football quite a bit in practice, so the coaches, Frank Reich, Chris Ballard, they know what they got in Brissett. Will Brissett still be with the Colts next year? Depends upon Brissett on whether or not he wants to sign a lesser contract. It's the end of his contract as well. I'm sure the Colts don't want to give him $27 million to be the backup. And we already obvious, like I said, they don't want him to be the starter. So would he be willing to take a $10 million contract? I doubt it. Brissett has straight up said he wants to be a starter from the NFL for somewhere. I don't know if another team is going to give him that shot. But, hey, it's possible. I'd let him test the market. See if anyone wants to give him a shot. And if they don't, if he wants to come back and be a $10 million backup for the Colts, I'd say great. Well, I want to thank you guys for watching here on Sportscaster News, talking about possible situations for possible quarterbacks, veteran quarterbacks next season. At the end of this year, a lot of good options out there. If you agree with what I said, if you disagreed with what I said, say so in the comments. I appreciate it. Hey, Brewers Fan 30, going for gold. Terrible Alex, thank you for joining me here on Sportscaster. The three that I named off are three of the only guys that have profiles here on Sportscaster out of the 85 people watching live right now. 85. That means 82 of you do not have profiles. Doesn't take that much. Just go up there, click the button. Take you 15, 20 seconds. You can link it to your Twitter, your Facebook, your email, whatever. You can give me a like. Please subscribe to the channel. Share. Let people know where you found this. And until next time, as usual, I'm Lawrence Owen, Sportscaster News, and I want you to have a good one.
Just because a player's not a household name doesn't mean we can't make him a household name.